You think I don't have total control. Every detail, from the movement of the stars to the flushing of the toilets, is exactly as it would be on the real journey. The minute they doubt the validity of their environment is the minute the experiment fails.
It is magnificent.
It's more than that. Ascension is a lifeboat for humanity.
TFR, the Truth Frequency Radio.
Broadcasting straight to you from a spaceship currently on a collision course with a windmill in Aurora, Texas. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Strange World, where the truth is often stranger than fiction. I'm your host, Mark Sargent, the creator of Flat Earth Clues, which propose that all of us are living inside a Truman Show enclosed structure thousands of miles wide. Check it out at enclosedworld.com or just Google Flat Earth Clues. My wingman for the show normally would be Jonathan from Jersey, but unfortunately, he is currently embedded with a Russian infantry battalion in an undisclosed location, part of Operation Green Helmet? I don't know if that's right. We should confirm that. That's a strange name. Not sure what that's about. But no. He's out for this week, so we are joined by the grandson of Commander Graham Bethune, Trevor Purvis. Graham Bethune, the most credible UFO witness, I think, of all time, and also known as
Space Grandpa.
Space Grandpa. Hey, Trevor, how's it going?
Good. How you doing? I think if I keep joining you, I may have to disappear on a mission as well. So we'll see what happens there.
Exactly. Well, okay. So normally, unfortunately, there was some communication issues. There's a couple things I have to bring up. First is if by some reason we get cut off or there's some sort of interference with this transmission, there is you guys can check this out yourself at downdetector.com, a massive Comcast, because I'm piping through Comcast high-speed internet. There's a massive outage here in Colorado, which is really, really strange. And so we're barely hanging out by our fingernails. We've got almost no bandwidth. So hopefully everybody can hear us fine. If we add one more person to this, and maybe that's the reason. The guy that we were supposed to have a guest on the show tonight and do some real offensive NASA bashing was going to be Jeranism from YouTube. Jeranism, as you may or may not know, has been doing a lot of really, really great stuff out of on the flat Earth, and he's been really, really smoking hot and has been holding nothing back, just been cranking out the vids, and he's been going after NASA. You know, that's his specialty, and it's one of my favorites. So we were going to do that tonight. Unfortunately, he got tied up with his second laser test. And so if he may make it late in the show, I really doubt it though. So we may turn this into a two-parter where Trevor and I, take the lead and just start, excuse me, attacking NASA with everything we got, and then if Jeranism comes in either late this show or early next show, we'll continue from there. Although if it's next week, probably won't have you, man. Unfortunately, you won't be part of the NASA bashing thing next
Yeah.
week. So you'll have to
Well,
get your licks in this show.
yeah. I think I'll definitely listen to it though. But yeah, I want to make sure that I get my 2 cents in on what I think about NASA while I have my opportunity. So
Yeah,
good
yeah.
idea.
And last time we talked about a lot of the credibility of Graham Bethune and what the space program and everything. But for me, and people have been asking me this a lot recently, which is what's the part that bugs you the most? The most glaring stuff about the flat Earth enclosed world, Truman Show type movement. And for me, it is there's got to be a scapegoat. There's got to be the person, the group that you're going to point at. And I touched on this in one of the clues, and it's like, look, one of the group that is going to go down without a question. There's other groups that may survive. Governments will survive. Civilization will survive. But there is one group that will absolutely fall first, and they will fall the hardest, and that is NASA.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the thing. And going to the end of where NASA stands today, I mean, they've basically dismantled it in the public eye. I mean, obviously, it's still pulling the puppet strings, but that was probably part of the move to start working down towards the path of a fall guy. NASA couldn't move forward, so let's take them out of the picture and still blame them, of course.
And we'll get into that. What you're talking about is the eventual patsy.
Mm-hmm.
Because we'll talk into the secondary theories, because it feels like, and I know I've said this before, because people have mentioned it to me. It's like, look, this enclosed world thing feels like it's part of something bigger. Like it's a combination of Jade Helm and a staged nuclear event, and I'm sorry, nuclear, and it's staged. I got caught on that once. I said nuclear, and on the air, and so I got emails about it. It's like, oh, all right, fine. Which is why, if you wondered why I switched to the word atomic, because you can't screw that up.
That makes sense.
And
Yeah,
so,
but they're not atomic anymore. They're nuclear, and I said it right. So
thank you.
You're welcome,
man. That's really great. It makes me feel a lot better for me. And it doesn't really matter. The point is, I will tend to lean towards atomic, because if I'm talking really fast, I may slip into nuclear.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not. I'm from Seattle. Where we don't really have any accents to speak of. We all talk like newscasters up there. So,
but we do know it's called espresso and not espresso. I just wanted to point that out. But
no, that's an excellent point. But I've never had an espresso ever in my life. So I don't drink coffee, not because I don't want the caffeine, but because, oh wait, is Jeranism on? Just got home, turning to my computer.
All right.
Call me in 5 minutes. Hang on. Jaren will be ready. So that's a good sign.
We don't drink coffee because of the fluoride. I mean, it's okay. People don't like to admit that, but
yeah. And by the way, this is what Jaren did during the round table, during the Ball Earth Skeptic round table. He's like, I don't know what it is. It's like, look, man, you're not getting up in the morning. The Balder thing, look, that was 5 a.m. This is 5 p.m. his
5
time.
p.m. Yeah,
but I know he's been busy. Again, he's been really, really busy doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well, and I've watched a lot of his stuff, and I know I'm jumping in here, but I'm excited to hear about it, because he's gone live with it, and I think he had a success last night, so it'd be great to hear about it.
Yeah. While we're waiting for him to come in, what kind of preface this was that he got because he was asking for donations and anyone that wanted to help out and do stuff. And one of his fans bought him a really nice high-end 1,000 milliwatt green laser, and with a tripod system, the whole 9 yards. I think it's industrial grade, for land surveys or something like that. And he decided he was going to take it down to the beach in California and shoot it across a 4-mile section of water. And it is, hang on, he's asking, is it live or recorded? Live. Want me to call you now?
Yeah. Live radio is better. I mean, we have a lot more fun on live radio.
Let me see if I can add him real quick.
All right.
Let me see if I can. Let's see if he picks up. Hopefully, while he's waiting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm buzzing him. He's probably getting his headphone set. And again, hopefully the bandwidth won't screw us up. Jaren, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Right on, man.
Awesome.
Glad to have you. You're only 8 minutes late.
That's not bad.
No.
It could have been 80.
We'll take it. So we were actually just talking about you, and
great.
about no, it's good stuff. The just so you know, on with us, we don't have Jonathan, but we have Trevor Purvis from our last show, who happens to be the grandson of Graham Bethune, big UFO researcher, and who also happens to be my cousin.
Okay, yeah, I heard the show.
Oh yeah, cool, good, fantastic. Good. So you two, you're fine. So hey, here's
We are.
yeah. So here's the deal. So what you I know you've been busy with stuff. Where do you want me to lead on this? The laser test that you were going to do last night. You want to intro with that, or what do you want to lead with? You want to lead with
Sure.
the
I can talk about that.
Yeah, let's do that. So what's happening? I told him that you got a laser, a high powered, 1,000 milliwatt green laser.
Right.
Yep.
And then Thursday night we're gonna shoot it. We were gonna shoot it across the Monterey Bay. There is about a 4-mile distance.
Yeah.
And one thing that we didn't realize until we actually did the test was that the laser over those 4 miles, the actual ending diameter of the beam was about 10 feet. So the curvature that we were looking for was 10 feet. So that kind of nullified the results.
Yeah.
And I guess I should have thought about that, because I think the longest confirmed rifle kill with a laser scope is about 2 miles.
Yeah.
So I guess if the beam could have stayed perfectly all the way across the 4 miles, probably would have been a little bit greater of a record there.
Yeah.
So afterwards, we were sitting around the beach kind of thinking if there was some better way to do it. And it kind of hit us that green laser is so bright, and with the cameras being able to zoom in really, really close, I kind of started to think, man, were we doing this wrong? Why do we even need to shoot the laser all the way across the water, when if I could just hold that laser, say at my ankle height, and shine it against something, and somebody on the other side of the shore was able to hold their camera at water level and then zoom in, if they're able to see that laser that I'm shining at my ankle height, then that would be the same result as shooting the laser across the water.
Yeah.
So we thought about that and said, let's come back tomorrow and try that. And so we did that yesterday. My wife and I went to the Seaside, California side, and the cameraman was over at the Lover's Point in Monterey side.
Yeah.
And I just took a poster board, and we marked on the poster board 6 inches, a foot, 1.5 feet, 2 feet, and stood that up in the sand. And he was on the other side, and he found us, zoomed in with his camera, and we waited till it got dark, and then we took that laser, and we're just shining it on the white poster board, and we're trying to see how low could I go or how high could I go that he would see it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it seemed pretty easy to me to figure out, if that distance should have a 10.5 foot curvature, then really there's no reason he should even be able to see, if he's down low, say at 2 feet high, he shouldn't be able to see the white poster board at all.
Yeah.
And so he had the camera on a tripod, which was about 2.5 feet, and his camera is about 6 inches, he said.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 3 feet. So I started it just on the whiteboard up high. Can you see that? He said, easily. Really? I said, okay. We moved it a little bit lower. How about that? Yep, easily. How about that? Easily. We went all the way down to an inch off the sand.
Wow.
And he could see it. So it was pretty definitive to me. We have that all on it was live streaming from my side of the water.
Yep.
But his side, he was recording, obviously, and I'm getting all that footage put together, and then we'll kind of split the screens and show everybody, sync it up together so that they can see his side, what he saw as he zoomed in, and mix it with my side. So it was a good result.
Nice. I mean, was it pretty much what you expected?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, it's a little bit lower than I would think that he would be able to see that, because there were some decent waves. I mean, there were probably 2-3 foot waves.
Really?
Yeah. So I was confused at first, but then I started thinking about it. And if he was 3 foot high and the waves were 3 foot, well, then technically, if the Earth was completely flat, he would be able to see that light if it was an inch off the ground.
Sure.
And we even moved that light and just put it, the next inch down would be on the sand.
Yeah.
And that's when he lost it. But as soon as it came up on the whiteboard, even an inch, he could see that.
Right on.
So yeah, it was pretty cool.
So for the layman, for the people who are just coming in on this and trying to figure out what the heck we're talking about here, one of the basic arguments that at least comes from, it actually comes from both sides, both the pro flat and the pro globe, is there's a curvature issue that has to be disputed, which is that on a globe the curvature should be, and you can fill in the blanks here, it's 8 inches per mile squared. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a pretty glaring issue if you're talking about an actual sphere, a globe.
Yeah. So at the first mile, is it 8 inches or is it 36 inches, or I can't remember what it was.
I've heard a couple different things, so I don't know exactly.
Yeah.
Also, people I've heard say you don't start till the second mile. So if you're looking at 5 miles distance, you would actually take that 8 times 4 times 4, or 8 times 5 times 5.
But it starts escalating pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's a parabola, so it gets real steep real fast.
Got it. Which is why the Chicago thing. In fact, I was talking to a guy today that wants to do a Chicago experiment similar to yours. He had heard your thing. He had caught your YouTube stuff about it, and he was thinking, I know Chicago's going to be a real stretch because it's 50 plus miles.
Yeah.
But he was thinking of trying to do something similar with that. He's just working out the details for that. And, it's for those of you, again, who have not seen the YouTube videos that are out there, with that weatherman, and you've seen it, where the weatherman comes on local news and he says, "Oh yeah, by the way, you can see the skyline after 50 miles," but it's a mirage. and it's like, really, it's a mirage, because at 50 miles, that's what, several thousand feet, right?
Yeah, it was about 3,000 feet below the horizon is where it should have been.
Got it.
The tallest building in Chicago was, I think it's like 1,400 feet.
Yeah.
So, there should be no way you can see anything.
Yeah.
And to see those buildings, and they call it a mirage. And the funniest thing to me, the buildings always end up, when they have these mirages, they always end up completely straight up and down.
Oh, they're completely intact.
Yeah.
It's not like,
how do they always stop? How do they always stop right at the horizon? Where's the mathematics involved in there? That no matter how far below the horizon, it always comes up right to the horizon.
Yeah, they're not wavy palm trees or anything like that.
No.
These buildings do not flicker in any way that I could see. So
nor do they lean. Put on a globe.
Yeah. So wouldn't the mirage also be leaning the other way?
Yeah, it's the same thing with when you see all this video footage of the boats going over the horizon.
Yeah.
The boats always kind of go down like an escalator.
Yeah.
When they show you the video.
Yeah.
Like if it's a ball, why wouldn't it tilt back?
Yeah. And by the way, I love the conflicting videos that are out there when it comes to the boat, because if I see if I see that freaking four-masted ship or whatever it is one more time, because that's the only one they ever show.
The one with the water that rises?
Oh, it just kills me. That's the only one they show. And
it's so bad. And it switches scenes.
Yeah, and it's not even
it's all cut.
Yeah, it's all cut. It's all edited. I was like, why didn't you just do it like a time lapse?
Isn't it funny how the evidence that's allowed for one won't be allowed for the other side?
Yeah. Meanwhile, we can show 10 different cargo ships at distance, and that those seem fine, but no, let's show the mast ship, because that's because it's the classic old masted ship that that they've been talking about for hundreds of years.
Right.
It's like
a pirate. It looks like a pirate ship.
Yeah, it does. It looks like a pirate ship. It's ridiculous. 2 questions for you then, along these laser things, and we can talk about it as long as you want. But one is, what's your next test with the laser? Because I'm sure this isn't a one and done by any stretch.
Well, I think that we're going to look into seeing what the best laser there is as far as keeping that dot as perfect as possible, and seeing how far that'll go.
Is there a beam focuser attachment for yours, or is yours about it? It's maxed out. I mean, you can't.
It's maxed out. We have it. It's got a little adjustment on the end, but it's as tight as it can get. Now it does have replaceable lenses.
Yeah.
It came with like 5, but all of the 5 lenses are for different effects. None of them are for a more focused beam. But the good thing is the guy that had actually purchased the laser for me, wanted to also get one for his son.
Oh, so you're thinking about giving that one to him, and then...
Correct. He was saying, what if I took that one back, and let's look into getting the best one that we can, and kind of look at what the deal is. I mean, to me, I'm a little bit skeptical if there is such a laser that can keep that beam. Because, like I said, if the longest confirmed rifle kill is only 2 miles, if a beam could stay that focused for 4 miles, then why wouldn't the longest rifle kill be 4 miles?
Oh, because I can actually answer that one.
Yeah, please help me.
Because there's no rifle that can go out that far. No, even a 50 cal 50 BMG.
I mean, as far as the bullet
cannot travel that far.
Okay, good. Okay, that's
There's anyone, by the way, can look this up. The ballistic tables for a 50 cal, you cannot do it. I mean, yeah, if you were shooting from the top of the mountain down, you might be able to wing in a shot like that. But ballistics, you can't go. You can't. There's only so far a bullet can travel.
See, I'm like the round earthers that ask, why can't they see infinity all the way across the world like that? Why can't we shoot a bullet all the way across the world?
Oh, by the way, I have to admit, but you'll like this, Trev. I got my first crank phone call last night. Remember, I was joking every once in a while saying, look, I haven't gotten any pushback. Nobody's, drunk called me in the middle of the night and said, yeah. Somebody called me and left a message saying that why can't you set up a telescope on San Francisco and see Hawaii? But he was like, but he was saying it, and then, click, dial tone. I was like,
that was me, by the way.
Thanks. But I was like, but yeah, that argument still, still gets thrown out there every once in a while. Okay, so you're gonna see if you can switch to a better laser, and you're probably right. I would be skeptical too, because I don't think at this question it's a matter of distance, because all you're really going to be doing is, you get a 2,000 milliwatt laser, but all it's going to do is make a brighter beam. It's not
right.
It's not like you can. I don't know of anything that's going to be able to cut down the dispersal that much.
No, and I think that laser is amazing, and the footage that we're going to see from the other side, I think, will be really definitive. So I think the next experiment is going to be taking that distance further, but sticking with the idea of, can the camera zoom in from wherever we are and see the laser dot? I mean, you figure we could see the coast of Santa Cruz. Yeah. On the day that we went to do kind of a preliminary kind of outlook at the area, there was no weather problems. I mean, it was beautiful. Yeah. And then both these days we went, the fog was really heavy, so we weren't able to see Santa Cruz anymore. But on a beautiful day, if we were in Santa Cruz with just that poster board shining that light on it, and somebody from Monterey was able to zoom in with a camera, even standing up, zoom in with that camera and can see that light, that will be beyond definitive, because you're talking about then about 40 miles. Yeah. 35 miles, 40 miles. So that's not 4 miles, and you're able to, because that's a little, I could see where people could question that if the curve's supposed to be 10 and a half feet, and someone says, well, he was 3 foot high and you were 2 feet above sea level, that's 5 feet. And I could see where somebody could say that's a little questionable, even though really if it was a globe, you shouldn't be able to see the light with anything less than 10 and a half feet. Yeah. But that would be really definitive. So I think that's going to kind of be our next step.
Cool. And I would imagine there's going to be some pushback, or is this point, are we going to probably start seeing laser tests from the Ball Earth people? That
I don't think so. How could they won't use it?
You don't think so? You don't think or they use your data and then try to twist it? Have you seen any pushback on that yet?
No, because there's no, I mean,
I did see one thing where a guy said, and I couldn't make this up if I tried, that the gravity of the Earth was actually able to bend the laser down with the contour of the water.
Right. I mean, I heard that too.
I was like going, what? How do you pull that off? Because if you're talking, you might be able to do that with gravity if it was cranked up a whole bunch. But at that point, you'd see it all over the place. If you pointed a laser into the sky, into a cloudy sky, you'd see it bend. Yeah. You'd see bends all over the place. And to date, I have never seen a laser light bend without some sort of artificial.
No. And I really looked into it because I wanted to see if that was possible. So I was looking into that. And I did find a test that they did in Sweden, I think, that they did say a laser will bend, a laser light, but the most it could bend was the width of the laser light itself. Meaning, if that beam was only, say, 2 inches circular, well, then the most it could bend would be 2 inches.
Cool.
So that kind of tells me, but I don't think that they could possibly use any kind of laser to prove the globe.
Got it. Well, yeah, because at this point, the stuff that you're seeing, you're not seeing really any indication of a curve at all.
No. And I mean, we're right there. And that's when we realized what was going on. After we shot that beam across and we were talking to my wife on the phone, she was on the other side. And she was the one saying, no, the beam is huge. It's 10 foot of a circle over here. And we were all upset. Like, oh, you're kidding me. And then I said, oh, man, okay, well, I'm going to turn off the beam. And I turned it off, and I was just standing there and shining it from about my ankle height.
Yeah.
And I said on the phone, can you see the light from over there? And she said, yeah. And I was thinking, okay, well, she's 5'2".
Yeah.
And I'm shining it down about a foot. So I said, that right there is 6 feet. There's no reason she can see that. So I said, can you crouch down, get as close as you can to the water, crouch down as low as you can.
Meanwhile, you're blinding her. But yeah,
no, I'm not at this point, I'm not shining it across anymore. I'm just shining it from 4 miles on the other side. I'm just shining it down from about my ankle height at the ground.
Yeah.
So I said, can you see that light? And so you figure I'm a foot off the ground. She got in her crouch position, so say she's 3 feet.
Yeah.
And she said, yeah, I can easily see it. That's with her unaided eye. She's able to see the laser light across the water 4 miles. That's how bright that thing is. It is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so right then that's when we got the idea. But wait, to show this, all we need to do is get a camera and zoom in from that other side and show that the laser can be seen. So now I think people out there can start doing their own kind of examples of this, because just take any distance. If you have a really good, think of some of the telephoto lenses they have now.
Yeah.
And those lenses don't bend around corners.
Yeah.
So all they need to do is be able to show something bright like that light that can't be mistaken for anything else.
Yeah.
So we just need to go a bigger distance. That's the next test.
Yeah. Yeah. And at this point, you may start attracting attention. We get about 1 minute to the break, just so you guys know.
Okay.
You might start attracting attention of, believe it or not, actual scientists on this, because
they're going to have to figure out some way to prove the difference.
They're going to have
why you're seeing that.
Yeah, they're going to have to fuzz up the math, because, I don't think to date really we've seen. I'm sure some military guys every once in a while have screwed around with some decent lasers, but not to do what you were doing.
No, I don't think so.
Just to cover a distance, just to see. But not at the water, which is fascinating. This should be a lot of fun to watch in the near future.
And one of the things I saw out there that gave me a new perspective is I've always kind of wondered, why do we lose the boat a little bit at the bottom first? Never really kind of made sense to me. I understood that even when we lose it, we can just zoom in and see it reappear. But I still said, why do we lose the bottom? When we're out there standing at the water.
Hey, hold that thought, man. We are going to break. We're coming back with more Jeranism.
The Rundown live with Mike and Kristen, Monday through Thursday on Truth Frequency Radio. That beat just hypnotizes me, by the way.
I thought it was the rave.
Yeah. Unsa, unsa, unsa.
Get your glow sticks, please.
Hey, welcome back to Strange World. I'm your host, Mark Sargent, with cameo guest host Trevor Purvis. With us, our special guest, Jeranism from YouTube. Where we left off was the laser tests, and you had just finished your first big one, and you were shooting at 4 miles?
4 miles.
And you're hoping to stretch that out to what? What do you think is the max you can do where you are?
As far as
how far you can go from beach to beach?
As far as seeing the laser with
yeah.
Oh, I as far as a telephoto lens can zoom in. I would say that we could easily show that there was no curve between 20 miles would be something I think we can show.
Nice.
So, and then once you start getting to those distances, then there's no question.
Right on.
Yeah.
All right, so hey, let's put it out there to anyone who's part of the Ball Earth fan club. You guys got a lot to deal with now because the tests are starting, and so far they look pretty good.
And these are scientific tests, you know.
Yeah.
I think that their big claim. I was having a little debate with a guy the other day, and he kept saying, "Well, we know it's a sphere because we can prove it with mathematics."
Yeah.
And I said, "Okay, well that's fantastic. A lot of things can be proven with mathematics, but now prove it with something as simple as this."
Yeah. Yeah. The big points, the big fight, we'll talk about NASA in a little bit after we get past some other subjects. But the big points they won't even touch. But now they're having problems with the little stuff, which
right.
The curvature. That's one. The next one up, if we can figure out a way to do it, that's gravity. And then what do you got left? And as far as I can tell, you're running out of legs to stand on. So
yeah, some of these things, it's the Coriolis effect, or you still see the people saying, well, this is BS. Explain why the water goes down one way in the northern hemisphere and not in the other way in the southern. And and some of they're not even true, and they keep going to these go-to things that we were all taught.
Yeah,
that aren't true.
Yeah, we're like this thing isn't going away. It's amazing. In fact, it's gotten to the point now where again, if I type in flat Earth into YouTube and set the filter to 1 day, I'm having a hard time even getting through them. Even at a glance, I can't even click on all of them at this point. There's just so many people entering it, and who knows who's going to be the next Jeranism that comes out and just starts...
should be a ton. Just
yeah,
just challenge them. I mean, I think that the problem was, like I said before, I saw clues. I just couldn't put out a video because I didn't want to be the only one being called an idiot. Yeah. I said I don't want to put out these videos and just get demonized and then when I saw you, I said, it could be me and him.
I know what you're thinking. It's like, if that chucklehead can make videos and get a bunch of hits,
him.
I know I can make some stuff, because your video production stuff is really slick.
Yeah, everyone says that, and I actually use Studio 12. I bought it at Goodwill for $4. And
how old is Studio 12?
I don't know. They won't give me any support when I go to their website because they say it's too old.
Trevor, look that up when you get a chance.
Yeah, I'm doing that right now. Let's see how I'm not even finding anything. Is it a Windows program? Is that what?
Yeah, it's a Windows. It's
Windows
a Pinnacle,
Studio 12.
Pinnacle Studio, or Studio Pinnacle, one or the other.
It was written in pencil.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
They're on 18 now, which looks pretty awesome. But
computers that were made out of wood.
Apple IIe.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, the original Apple IIe.
So that was it's. I've just been. I mean, if you watch my videos, I've been just learning as I go. The first one was the worst production quality, and the last one I think would be one of the best. It's just learning how to plug things together and use their little transitions, and still takes me about an hour to render 15 minutes of video footage. So that's what is terrible, and I can't do I can't sneeze or the program crashes. So.
I love the fact that because people accused me, my videos were too slick, even though I used a free program and it cost like zero money.
Right.
But the fact that you bought your video editing software from Goodwill, I love that.
Well, because I said this must be better than Windows Movie Maker, and I played with Windows Movie Maker. I think the only difference is there's a couple different transitions. That's about it.
So but Studio 12 still runs on Windows 7? Is that what you're using, or Windows 8?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I think I'm going to go out and see if I can find a copy. I imagine you can buy them on eBay, the cost of a bowl of soup or something.
Yeah, I think they said that they only support the last 3 versions. So if they're on 18 now, then you can get support for 15 up. But you can't get any support for before that. Because I saw there's, those codecs?
Yeah.
Well, I saw there's a codec that should speed up my rendering on MP4s, but I can't get it. I can't find it anywhere. And they say, sorry, we don't support it. It's going to cost money. I'm like, forget it.
Got it. All right. So on a side note of the laser thing, and some people have already been following this, the ongoing drama that is the flat Earth world.
Yeah.
Is the fact that, yes, part of your experiment was financed by Eric Dubay.
Right.
And I didn't know, because people emailed me long before I ever find out. In fact, Trevor knew before I knew. and I think you did, right?
Yep, I did.
Yeah, you had heard about it.
Yeah.
And you had gone to the IFERS board to, just can you explain what happened? I'm not going to do it justice, and I'm not going to put words in your mouth.
Sure. Yeah, basically there was a member there that comments on a lot of my videos, and she had emailed me a few times just saying, hey, we'd really like you to come over to the boards. And I'd always kind of stayed away from most of the boards. They'll say, oh, well, he's a member of a Sensi's board. I don't even know who that is.
Okay.
I think I did sign up there one time. I have like 4 posts there basically saying, hello, I'm here. And there's another forum for serendipitous or something.
Oh, yeah. Serendipitousboards.net. Yeah.
Right. And I think I'd signed up there one time. Neither place has more than 3 or 4 posts that I don't even remember doing. They're like in April.
Yeah.
But anyway, they were asking me, and I knew it was Eric's boards. And so I said, well, I'll see if I have time. I'll go over there. And for the most part, I don't have a lot of time to do forum kind of posts and things like that.
Mhm.
Mostly, I like doing the videos. Recently with the interviews, almost coming, every other day, every few days.
Mhm.
I don't have a lot of time for that. But I did kind of say, well, I don't want to not go over there, so I'm going to go over there and just make a post. So I signed up and admittedly did not read one post from the board. I just went right to new topic, said, hi, this is Jeranism, happy to be here. Went on a little spiel about how I don't like science because they don't like to go by their own definition anymore.
Mhm.
And that I think we should all be out there testing and researching. And I was happy to be there. If anybody had any questions, hit me up. So after that, there was about 15 or 20 people that popped in and said, welcome, we're happy to have you. We love your videos. So that was really nice, comforting.
Sounds good.
We need
good.
those,
Yeah.
Yeah, we need those little, if it wasn't for the people that say, my email, if it wasn't for the at least 8 out of 10 that I get that say, thanks so much, we appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah.
Love your videos, then it'd be hard to keep going because the other 2 out of 10 that say I should be put in a gas chamber or that I should die or that my mom and dad are brother and sister,
Nice.
those ones, they get a little bit
Yeah.
a little thick after a while. So it was nice to see some people saying hello. But then I noticed, and you can actually go, there's links all over to this thread.
Yeah.
And you can actually see after that, there became a little argument between these members of this board, which I thought was funny because my post said, hi, Jeranism, happy to be here. So why was there all of a sudden this argument between themselves on this board? And if you watch it, they're just arguing over nothing. I mean, it's not even anything important.
Okay.
So I kind of popped back in on my second post or third. Or I might have said a couple times, thank you, happy to be here. But on my third or fourth post, I said, hey, I'm just going to say it's kind of discouraging to see you guys arguing between each other. I think we should all just be joining together.
Did a Rodney King. Can't we all just get along?
Right. Can't we just get along? I didn't.
Yeah.
That's all I said.
Yeah.
And in that comment, I think I was the first one to ever mention your name. And just
God.
I know, my mistake. But I think taking into everything I knew about that forum and what they were kind of going for in those conversations, they weren't talking about you specifically,
Mhm.
but there was a lot of shill talk, shill behavior this, shill behavior that. So I just said, I don't care who's a shill. I said, if Mark Sargent's a shill, so be it. His true colors will show. Well, then they popped in right after and said, hey, we agree with everything you said, except the part where you said we need to wait and see if Mark shows his true colors.
Okay.
That he's already shown them. He is a paid NASA shill. Oh yeah, this is.
Oops. That was weird. As soon as you said that, my shelf almost fell over.
Oh boy.
That's really odd. Anyway, keep talking.
Yeah. So they just have basically already come to this full conclusion, and I don't mind what conclusion people come to. That's fine. That's between them and you. And if Eric has issues with you over, he thinks that you misquoted him or that you have a different model than him, that's fine.
Yeah.
And what I said was to everyone, I popped back in again and said, okay, that's great. What's going on there? I said, but for me, I'm going to wait till I see clear signs of that. And they said, there has been clear signs. Here's the links to this huge list of, or the other thread that we've already talked about it. So I clicked on that thread, and that's when I realized, uh-oh.
That's the one. How many pages is that up to now, Trevor?
It is at 18 pages. Last post 26 minutes ago.
Oh man! And when I started reading that, I said, "Uh-oh," because I knew that I was going on your show,
Yeah.
and we'd also I don't remember if that was the morning before or the morning after we had the roundtable.
Yeah.
And so at that point, I'm thinking, well, now I'm kind of stuck in the fact that I certainly am not going to back out of your show when I've seen no evidence other than, and like I said, if you're a shill, I would have never made my first video if it wasn't for your videos.
Yeah. Which
So
means,
to me, regardless of if you're paid or not, then the government is even stupider than I thought, which is, I don't give them a lot of credit as it is.
Yeah.
And if you're controlled opposition, I would be doing no videos if it wasn't for you. And now here I am, and I think I've helped wake a lot of people up. And so anyway, I just don't see the same side as them. So I just I even private messaged Eric and said, "Hey, Eric, just so you know, I'm going on Mark's show." And I said, before you guys jump all over my back, why don't you watch the show or listen to the show? And I said, if Mark ever tried to say something about, well, I don't like Eric's this, or misquoted you, I said, I'm going to jump in and say something.
Yeah.
And I said, so just wait until after the show. And then if I say something that you guys don't like, I don't mind if you guys want to call me a shill or whatever.
Yeah.
But I said, I kind of have a feeling this is going to go south before that. Well, and it wasn't so much Eric. He wasn't in there commenting in the forum. It was the
just
moderators.
Yeah.
And there's about 3 or 4 people that are just absolutely sure you're paid opposition, and there's no question about it.
But eventually he shows up.
Oh, yeah. And that was kind of surprising, too.
Because I would have thought at that point, especially since he donated money, he'd be like, oh, hey, everything, Jeranism's cool, blah, 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 and everybody should be friends.
Right. And I think I made a post saying exactly that. Hey, we should all just move on. We should just, let's see what happens when I go on Mark's show.
Yeah.
And he came in and said, no, Mark is already a confirmed 100% paid government opposition shill. So I just kind of came back and said, well, I disagree with you. And I said, but do you guys see what's happened here? And I noticed that nobody was coming to my defense.
Yeah.
But I realized quickly, well, how could they?
How could they? You're in the freaking viper's nest at that point.
Right.
Man.
And in the 18-page thread, I noticed anyone who came in and said, hey, guys, let's give Mark a chance. It said next to their name, deleted member. So you could quickly see anyone who said you were a demon and a shill, they were not deleted. And anyone who said, nope, we think we should give him a chance, let's wait and see, was deleted. So I kind of could see where this was going. I was like, uh-oh. And so I just made another post that said, guys, do you see what you've done here? Is you've created something exactly as science did, which is unscientific, because rather than have open communication, open dialogue, you've already come up with your dogma. You've already come up with your established rules, your set of guidelines. Yeah. And anybody who comes here saying anything outside of that is going to be removed. Yeah. And I said, so I suggest you remove me now, because otherwise I'm just going to keep posting and saying this. Yeah. Because it's how I really feel, Yeah. And so sure enough, I refreshed the page and it said you have been blocked. So I said, oh, okay, that was fun. That was fun. So I kind of thought, well, okay, I'm that's fine. They're not going to like me. But I said, the truth is in the pudding, right? Yeah. I mean, people are going to see the show. People are going to see that I don't have issues with you, and I don't know what they think, because just because I don't have issues with you today, hey, 2 months from now, who knows?
We're probably going to be bitter enemies.
We'll be hating it. You're going to be all about. You're going to be saying the Earth is a globe, and
oh yeah, well yeah. Even though I said on the roundtable that I would actually die first.
Right. And the other thing I said to them is, they say he's a paid NASA shill. I said, guys, on the show on Saturday, we're talking about NASA and the moon hoax.
Yeah. The second hour, we're going nonstop. We're going to floor NASA. So if I'm going after my employers, you tell me why.
Right. And I said, the one thing that NASA has never done, and you can look through all of this, they've never backed the hoax theory, because it's the one thing they can't.
No, they can't.
Right. But they will. Buzz Aldrin will tell you that he saw aliens. Yeah. So will every other astronaut. Yeah. They'll tell you that there's structures on the moon. They'll tell you that there's a pyramid on Mars. Yeah. That there's already a colony on, Neptune. Yeah. Whatever they have to say.
Yeah, that's classic misdirection. It's brilliant. Yeah,
right. It's actually very good, because it's just anytime you say something aliens, it reconfirms the globe. Yep. Right.
Yep. So, but we'll get into that. Yeah. So
anyway, I just kind of said, there's no way he would be doing the show and saying, "Hey, Jaron, let's." And I didn't mention, but I mean, remember the day that I called you and we talked about the photos that I'd found.
Yeah.
And that I had thought I'd found an issue with some NASA photos in that they're encoded with a camera ID.
Yeah, yeah. And it turned out that it was actually just the camera model number, not the camera serial number.
Right.
No.
But I remember that phone call with you, and if you were any kind of a shill, you wouldn't have been as excited as you were.
Oh, no.
Thinking that we found, because I kind of said, Mark, before I do something and go public with this, will you help me see if what I'm seeing is true? And you didn't try and throw me off of it. In fact, if anything, you were backing my thing up.
Yeah.
It wasn't until later.
Trevor, just so you know what had happened was Jaron was looking through on, what was it, on Tumblr?
Flickr.
Mm-hmm. There were a bunch of official NASA photos, and every NASA photo had a lot of detail when it came to the actual photo. So there was a lot of ID numbers on there. And we thought, because those cameras were what pushing 20 grand a piece for some of those things, that there was a unique we thought we were looking at the unique camera ID number that was showing interior ISS shots as well as shots that were on the ground, which is impossible.
Yeah.
But it turns out it was just for the model.
Oh, that's too bad. Because that would have been great.
That would have been huge.
Yeah, we thought we had found something, and it was just as simple as when I saw the Suez land, which was, 2 weeks ago or something?
Yeah.
There was a photo from a helicopter that showed the camera ID is the same as the day before a camera that was used in the ISS.
Yeah.
So I was saying, Mark, look at this. There's no possible way the camera can get from the ISS to the helicopter.
Yeah.
And he said, no, this could be it. This is huge. This is huge. And if he was paid, the last thing he'd be doing is telling me, this is huge. This is huge. And so we kind of looked into it. And then he called me back and said, you know what? I don't think that and I said, no, I just talked to him. It's not. Yeah. We both kind of came to the conclusion at the same time that that's a camera ID.
It was just a camera ID. Yeah, so we basically talked ourselves out of it after a while. But again, if I was a shill, I would have never gone down that path with you.
Yeah.
Or you would have told me, go public with this now. So I look like an idiot.
Yeah, it's like, make a video right now.
And that's what I tell everybody is that people are smart enough to make their own decisions based on what they have happen around them. And so based on everything I had seen, the videos I saw, the clues videos, that showed me several things that, I mean, like I said, it was about November that I really started to feel that their world was flat.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until February I started making videos. But even in February, there were some things, Admiral Byrd, for instance.
Yeah.
All of my theories, everything I had thought about from November, I had never saw that interview that he did where he says there's vast resources down in Antarctica.
Oh, yeah.
So you brought to light a lot of things I didn't even contemplate yet. So anyway, I just wanted to make my own decision, and I told them, you know, guys, I'm all for you. I'm for Eric. Eric's awesome. He donated the $200.
Yeah.
I love the guy. He woke me up too.
Yeah.
A lot of his videos are awesome. His explanation of the northern and southern stars is what made me able to overcome that obstacle.
Yeah.
So I have nothing but respect for the guy.
Oh, yeah.
But then they just really wanted to tell me that if I didn't come out and say Mark's a shill, that I'm joining the shill. So,
and you disagree with Mark on things. I think that you disagree about the dome. So it's not that you're just following everything he says. I mean, you're definitely disagreeing with some of the points. That he's
I wouldn't
made.
say I disagree about the dome, because I kind of have started to say recently that maybe it is, because now when I go outside, I actually think I feel like I see it. Like, but I just don't want to say things until I really have come to that conclusion. And I think Mark likes to go from a gaming standpoint where he's saying, hey, if I designed it, these are the things that I would do it like. I mean, I think that the seasons come from the sun and its movement from Capricorn to Cancer, the tropics. But none of us know. So when Mark says he thinks it's heated from underneath, or that it's controlled from underneath, I don't agree with that, but why wouldn't I be open to the possibility?
Yeah.
There's nothing about it that tells me, no, that's absolutely wrong. So I would look into it. You know, I want to research those things. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, my big thing is, if it's not a globe, let's get that out there.
Yeah, that's the big one.
Right. Everything else can fall in after that.
Yeah.
I mean, what my wife said it perfectly the other day when she said, even if we found out the exact operation of the sun and the moon, who cares? What difference does that make?
Yeah.
It's not going to change anything.
No.
Maybe you can then prove, what's going on, but it's not going to change. The things work perfectly.
Yeah.
The sun does its job perfectly. The moon does its job perfectly.
Yep.
So regardless of how or whether it's a disk or a sphere or whether it's a hologram or it's not, they're good for proof reasons, but they're not really a make or break kind of thing.
Got it.
The make or break to me is if we were told we're on a globe rotating in space, flying at 66,000 miles per hour around a sun, 92 million miles away, then I want to know that that's a fact. And if it's not a fact, then everything else breaks down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I love that you're waking people up because people need to get out there. If it is, dude, prove it to me right now so I can stop looking like an idiot on the internet, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, if we're going if the sun's 92 million miles away, I'm happy with that. That's fine. But I just don't like the idea that we were all taught this as kids, and now we get to this age, I'm 35, and if I find out, hey, some of this stuff isn't working out, it's like, oh, boy. So.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sorry, Trev, you had something?
No, I was actually just thinking the same thing. It's, we're told what we're told, and a lot of people are going to believe it because it's easier than trying to find your own evidence. And again, I mentioned last week, one of the key things to do is disprove it. Yeah. It's a lot easier to disprove it than it is to prove it, and I think everybody's doing a good job of disproving the globe.
Yeah,
and that's the key to it all.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and to your laser test, we got 4 minutes to the break, but that test, and of course I know why Eric donated to it. It benefits because he believes in the tabletop flat, and it benefits his research absolutely. And I don't mind. It's like, look, as long as we solve it one way or the other, if it comes back and there are no warps to this plane at all, and it honestly is very a lot more flat than anything else, then I'll be like, hey, great. Fantastic. I'm doesn't upset me in the slightest, because at the very least, and again, this is the part that we talked about in that roundtable, which is as long as it's not the globe, that's the big thing. That's the part that the government, and again, we'll get into this in the next hour, but that's the part that the governments are hiding, which is, look, the world is not what you think it is. It may not be pancake flat. It may not be hubcap, curvy kind of flat, but I have no doubt in my mind it's not a globe.
No, and when you're talking about every university, these highest level intellectuals, if they're all saying something that isn't true, that's a big deal. And so I don't care if it's a lens myself. I don't care if it's even if it's the concave Earth or whatever.
Yeah.
If it's not what we were all taught as, and not taught as this is a theory.
Yeah.
We were taught this is a fact and it cannot be challenged.
Yeah.
In fact, you're an ancient desert wanderer. Which you think,
desert wanderer.
Yeah. I love the people on the chat yesterday when we were doing the test. They said, like, well, how are the sun and the moon in the sky? What's holding them up? Like, what's holding the sun and the moon in the sky in your world? What do you mean? I mean, they just think gravity is this tangible thing that they can wrap their heads around, which even scientists can't.
Don't get me
crazy. It's just the kind of evidence that they allow.
I know.
I made a joke yesterday where I said, I'm not even going to do this test. I'm just going to call it my dark green energy and my my dark green matter, and say, it happened, guys. The light went across. The world is flat, and it's because of this dark energy, and it's never been observed, but it's a fact. Science, so deal with it.
Yeah,
this is true, because they're just able to throw these fictitious things at us, and because it's science, we have to say, oh, sorry, I didn't know that. I didn't know that it's just gravity. I didn't know it's just a mirage.
Yeah, I
didn't know it's just refraction.
Yeah, they're starting to lose ground. No play on words there. Really, really fast. To the point where it's catching. This is not going away. For people that think that's like, look, this isn't just a fluke out of the blue where all of a sudden this topic is being talked about like a freight train, in 2015. This thing is not. It's spreading because anyone that tries to debunk it is getting pulled in. And
they used to get away with calling us idiots.
Yeah.
And that would be enough to kind of scare us away or back us down. But at this point, you can call me an idiot all you want. Yeah. I'll stay here until you prove it.
Yeah.
Prove that your model's right.
Exactly. When we come back from the break, our entire second hour is going to be dedicated to beating the crap out of NASA, calling them out. So be ready for it.
Real people, real radio.
Initiating the truth frequency.
This is Truth Frequency Radio.
Welcome back to Strange World. In our second hour, I'm your host, Mark Sargent. With us is Trevor Purvis, grandson of...
Space Grandpa.
Yes. And Schillerism. I'm sorry. Wait, is that your real name now? Or is it still Jeranism?
I went back. I can convert it back to Jeranism.
Oh, good. Excellent. Jaren, did you get any parting shots before we go into our epic NASA rant? I'm hoping it's an epic NASA rant.
Well, I don't know if I finished what happened there at the forum. So,
yeah.
And I kept saying, even after I was removed, hey, I respect Eric for giving me that money. Well, the next thing I saw was claims saying that I had stolen Eric's $200.
Yeah.
Which, if anybody remembers my video, I needed $200 for the cameraman, and I had said, hey, if we get 200 people to give me $1 each, that's the $200 we need. Well, right away, Eric paid the $200.
Yeah.
So I said, how did I steal his money if I asked for $1 and he gave me $200?
Yeah.
I said, I don't know how to understand how that's stealing, but I also made the offer that I'll gladly give it back to him if he feels in any way that that's not what my goal is here. The whole goal was to do the experiment and get a better video quality than I can get out of my iPhone.
Yeah.
So anyway, the next thing that happened after that is I was denying stealing the money, and Eric never said a word to me. He didn't send me an email, didn't send a message, didn't make a post. Yeah. So all these other people were claiming I stole his money. Yeah. So I said, just tell Eric to call me or whatever. Well, the next thing that came out was yesterday morning, there was a comment on my YouTube from Eric, saying that I had stolen not only that money, but $80,000 from another person. And I almost lost my mind. I said, where did this come from? Well, then in doing some research, it's because there was about a year ago when I was writing for 2 different Bitcoin websites.
Yeah.
And there was a situation that came up where a scam artist had opened a few sites and suckered a customer into losing $80,000.
Yeah.
And because I had written an article about this website owner a month or 2 prior, the customer emailed me and wanted me to try and contact the owner. So in that conversation, in that whole thing, I got swept up in a 6-month investigation in which we were going after basically a no-name person who created this alias, and he's still out there at large, because that's one thing I don't really recommend Bitcoin personally.
Yeah.
Because it will allow you to do this, which is if you are smart and you start from scratch and create a fake persona and go out and scam people, well, once the money's out of your Bitcoin wallet into his, nothing you can do.
Yeah.
It's hard to track that person. I mean, I learned the hard way. 6 months.
Yeah, it's the whole point of Bitcoin. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, the whole thing that happened was at one point that guy, the scam artist, had made a site, which was my full name, JaronCampanella.com.
Yeah.
And in that site, he said, Jaron Campanella is an extortionist. He went after me for all this money. Well, he was just upset that I was tracking him for 6 months. And that's why he was upset and just made this post. Well, the crack staff there at IFERS forum thinks that they're smarter than the FBI and everyone else who's been looking into this case, the Internet Crimes Commission.
Oh, you're obviously guilty. Everybody knows it.
Yeah, they said, you are the website owner. I said, what? How would I be the website owner? And the guy, they went off on this wild goose chase where they think they're like investigators. And I said, guys, that's confirmation bias. So anyway, to everyone out there, feel free to do your own investigation on that. go ahead and go look at that information. I've never stolen anything from anyone. And in fact, I had my name dragged through the mud for that 6 months. And so they thought they found something. And I think Eric's deal was he came onto my site or onto YouTube, made a comment that flat out said, it's, you know what libel is, right? Libel is when you tell a lie about somebody in print.
Yeah.
He said, you stole $80,000.
Wow.
And so I just went to him and tried telling him, dude, you can't just say that because you have no evidence. And you basically typed my name into Google, thought you found something.
Yeah.
And you guys just came out with it publicly, and you're wrong.
Yeah.
So
you got to be
what
careful
do?
about stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I would never, and I even told him, one of the things I said to him is, there's no way, after you've told me all these people are shills, there's no way Mark would have ever come out with that information without researching it.
Yeah.
Even Mark, I said, you guys call him a shill, but he would have gone and done 10 minutes worth of research. I said, all you need to do is 10 minutes worth of research to see that there's no possible way that I'm the website owner who I went after for 8 months and the customer. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
I hear you. Just use your own.
I hear you, man.
Reason.
I hear you, man. No, in fact, Trevor and I were talking before the show, and I was saying, look, I'm a little nervous because we're bringing on a Bitcoin scammer shill. There's so many bad things here, and it's like I was really, really nervous. But while we've got so everybody knows. I know. Look, I know you're innocent, man. Don't worry about it. But let's get to the meat. Let's get to the meat of this, and that is. Because I know you got an opinion on this. You've done a lot of videos recently, even more, more than most, that target NASA specifically, and I love it because, as Trevor and I were talking about before you came on, if there's going to be a fall guy when this thing happens, it's going to be NASA. So do you have, let's go down. You don't have to necessarily give me your top 10, but what's some of just pick one of the big glaring, basically what the thing I'm putting out there, and you can just chime in, is that NASA is the gatekeeper of this whole thing. And that is, whatever the shape of this world is, NASA is the one that's hiding it more than most. I mean, yeah, we can talk about Antarctica and the Defense Force, but they're fairly low key compared to NASA. NASA is about as high profile as it gets. They release news stories every freaking month. In fact, they've been picking up the pace recently.
Well, there's something every day.
What's one of your? Give me one of your biggest pet peeves about these guys.
Oh, there's a million. But
just pick any of them, like something you've done recently that you're just infuriates you.
Well, I think that the whole moon thing is a hoax. I mean, the one thing for me is there was the recent Freedom of Information Act request for video footage and telemetry data and medical data, and NASA comes out and says, we lost it. And it's 700 or 900 boxes of information that 13,000 reels of video footage, Saturn V blueprints, the LEM blueprints, the lunar module blueprints, all the medical data lost.
Yep. And
you don't lose 700 or 900 boxes of anything unless you do it on purpose.
Yeah.
So they say they taped over it because of they were short on money, like we're idiots or something. Like, if I'm short on money, maybe I record over a videotape in my house, but I'm not going to record over my kid's birth.
Yeah.
Which is basically what they did. Is, let's see, of all these tapes we have of all this nonsense, what can we use to record over? Let's use these let's use these moon landing photos that, are the greatest thing to ever happen to mankind, the greatest accomplishment we've ever had. Let's tape over that.
Yeah. Yeah,
so, insane.
The telemetry data is ridiculous because you can't lose everything. It's not like they lost just part of it or 10% or 80%. They lost all of it. And again, what you're saying there is like you don't lose something that much stuff on accident. We're talking a container truck worth of stuff, because the records back then were huge. Jaron?
Or they never had it.
Jaron, you still there?
Right. Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
No, I was saying, they're just...
or they never... Yeah, exactly. Or they never had it in the first place.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's just really sad. And that pissed me off because I just don't like how open they are that we went and deal with it. And then you take that lunar reconnaissance orbiter or whatever, LRO.
Yeah.
There's that website and they'll send you right there. You don't think we went to the moon? Oh man, go look. They take pictures of everything that's there. They took pictures of the flag and the equipment. You go look at that site, and it's like, what a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that thing rotated or taking pictures of the moon just at the height that you can see a little pixel change down on the moon, and then there's an arrow pointing to it.
Yeah.
It says flag. And it's like, I just think it's hilarious. It's comical because no matter what else in this world somebody tried to use that as proof, would be laughed at. But because it's NASA, you've got 90% of the world telling you that's proof.
Yeah, because up until now, they've been considered the most noble of all the institutions. I mean, people will question, the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, all sectors of the U.S. government, but NASA's treated a lot like Star Trek.
Right.
A lot like they're this benevolent science organization. It's like, no, this is not a science organization. This is a military wing that's controlled, that was built on military technology. And there is no, the science part is only because they have telescopes. That's it. The rest of it is just controlled data and some flashy graphics, and the fact that the astronauts don't carry guns.
Right.
That's it. It drives me freaking nuts. But yeah, you're absolutely right. The Apollo, you have to start with the Apollo program because that's the early stuff. Right. And for those who haven't watched the documentaries, there's so many good documentaries out there. But they go into all the different aspects of Apollo. For those who have never delved into this, look at the shadows on the ground. The fact that they seem to be running in slow motion. If you speed it up, it looks like normal running. The fact that they should be if it's 1/6 gravity, they should be only weighing like 30 pounds, and they should be jumping way, way higher. No blast crater, no dust.
It goes on forever.
It just goes on forever. There's not one part of that production that held up well.
No, the temperature in the module itself, sitting there on the moon for the amount of time.
Yeah,
I made comments about the meteoroids. Micrometeoroids are just blasting, supposedly. The moon surface and the Earth's atmosphere constantly.
Yeah.
And I think one of my videos, I did a math to figure out how many of these things were hitting constantly. Each of them is only a gram in weight, but they're going 20,000 miles per hour. They would go right through you.
Yeah.
Just like a bullet.
Yeah.
But these guys were just out there hitting golf balls.
I was going to mention that. It's like, look, I've told this to people. It's like, if I'm on the moon and I just made it there, I'd be scared out of my mind. I would be so tense. I would be checking the sensors and the oxygen levels constantly. I would walk real slow. I wouldn't be falling, just in case your suit pops a hole. Playing golf. I mean, they were acting like honest to God, like they were at a country club, singing, jumping around. I was going, are you nuts? No one would do that in real life. Every time you thought maybe you get delusional and think you're going to do that, you'd look at the Earth and go, "Oh crap, I'm not on Earth." And
I want to go home.
Yeah, I want to go. That would not happen. Or I'll throw one more at you, and then we'll move on to a different thing other than the moon. That remote control camera capsule liftoff thingy, where where the capsule lifts off the moon and the color remote control camera pans up perfectly, and you're going, okay, who's running that camera? Is it remote? And if it is remote, who's shooting it? Who's controlling it? Houston? Are they shooting it? Because they would have to account for the delay, because there's no way it's going to respond that quickly. Is it going to be the capsule? Because if it is, they're the best cameraman in the world. And not only that, are you digitally, where's that signal getting back? Where's it getting sent back to be recorded? There's so many things that just drove me nuts about the Apollo
1969, thing. People, maybe for us, it's hard to remember them, but go back and look at some of the technology they didn't have cordless telephones.
No.
But yet we're talking to them with no delay. It's just insane.
Yeah.
And one of the things I always say about Buzz Aldrin, this I just found out by reading his book, that his mom committed suicide a year before he went to the moon.
That was strange.
Yeah. And then they come out and his family told the doctor to lie, about the cause of her death, so that the media didn't catch on or whatever. But it's like, so here's the guy who went to the moon that we're all supposed to believe because he's so scientific and honest and true, who just a year before that is lying about the death of his mother.
Yeah.
So it doesn't impact his moon trip.
And not to belittle it, but because I take like a suicide of a mother very seriously.
Yeah.
But that is an interesting reaction, because had he confided in her and said, just so you know, I might be, one of those soul searching
you never
moments.
know.
Yeah, where he's saying, look, I may be doing a bad thing and I don't agree with it. And, if she raised him, maybe she was even on a higher level than that and said, I'm not hanging around for this when this shoe falls. Because
talk about funny, her maiden name?
What?
Do you know what her maiden name is?
No.
Moon.
Get out of here. You seriously?
Swear to God.
Wow.
Things like that are always funny to me. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But yeah, or did something happen to her because NASA did something? I mean, you never know. There's just so many things that go through your mind that just don't. But I don't like being told you have to trust him. He's a great man, but he admits in his book, we told the doctor to lie for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The it's funny because that one round table, the ones that were trying to disprove it recently, they wouldn't talk about Apollo, and it's because it's all tied together. Because there's a lot of people, it's like, look, you're going to have a tough time because you either believe in Apollo or you don't. But if you don't believe in Apollo, then you got problems because then they try to hang on. It's like, well, I don't believe in Apollo, but ISS is real.
Right.
And it's like, oh boy, that's tough because you see ISS, that's footage that's being released now. And that stuff, as you've watched, is it's not as bad as the moon because the moon's so dated, but it is. It's
bad.
It's bad. There's so many little things. Take your pick on this. What's the biggest one for you? Underwater, hairspray, jostling. The gravity.
Oh, how about they don't wear their spacesuits? It's like you're flying around the Earth 17,000 miles per hour, supposedly
in khakis.
20,000 satellites are also orbiting the Earth, and all these micrometeoroids are hitting the side of your spaceship. At any point, a little asteroid that we didn't see because it's 10 foot wide could rip a hole in that thing, and you're just showing us how the bathroom works in your khakis and your polo shirt.
Yeah. Or
it's insane. Like there's no worries in the world.
Yeah. Again, there's this weird. I know you're supposed to put your game face on, but no, these are legitimate, happy, jumping around people.
Right.
And what you were talking about there, the no spacesuits, it's especially important, and you probably noticed this already. There's no hatches.
No.
Between sections. It's like, look, this should be like a submarine. If something goes wrong in a section, you close the door and you seal it off. We've all seen space movies. That's what they all have.
Well, they even have time to do that, and wouldn't it just be instant death? I don't know how. I've never been there.
Well, you don't know. If there's like a mechanical failure, where you got life support that's failing in a certain section.
No, like let's say a 10-mile meet or say. 10
foot. If that happens, you're done.
Okay.
Yeah, you're done. But there should, and the reason, and of course, the more I thought about it, well, of course you're not going to have hatches because that screws up with the production value. Which is, if you're going to have these guys, because remember, you got a limited window to where you can sail around in 0 Gs, opening and closing doors, that takes off precious seconds. And you don't want to deal with that. So what's the answer? You just don't have doors to begin with. And it's like, okay, so, and not only that, since this thing was supposedly put together in sections, that means there were doors at one point and they threw them away.
Right.
Or put them somewhere else. And it's like,
they let them burn up in the atmosphere.
Yeah, let's just dump them out. Just put them in the airlock. Just dump them out. You probably noticed other things like the fact that no section, even though that we have the technology to make like a main bridge. We just saw that in frickin' what was that movie Interstellar? You have room for a big area, but nothing is wider than the width
airplane.
The width of an airplane. I was like, really? That's a fantastic little coincidence.
Right, exactly.
The jostling and gravity. That's a fun one. What's your favorite, Trevor?
I love the green screens and nothing moves behind them. That's always a good one.
Yeah,
the cords frozen.
Yeah, the cords are frozen.
Frozen, but the woman's moving.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
I like the little pole that's on the ground that they have to attach their feet to, and then you go look at the footage of what's that plane they have, the Vomit Comet
yeah,
right, and it's got the same exact poles at the bottom that they put their feet on.
Yeah,
it's like, could you make it more obvious?
Yeah, but again, because they're NASA, they get away. They've gotten away with it for so long because why would they ever lie to us? Why would they ever lie? And it's like, look, if I'm right and if you're right and all the other people that are involved in this movement are right, then they've been lying since day one. The whole point was to lie. It was never going to be real. It was never real. Nothing about it was real. Ever since the beginning, it was all it was all part of the trick.
Do you think they ever thought at the beginning it would ever get this far? I can't imagine them thinking. I think they laugh now because there's no way in 1970 they would have thought, this will go well into the future. They must have thought, well, we'll go with this as long as we can. You know?
Yeah. I think they had you. Oh God, man. If I'm in their shoes, and I would be because I work for NASA, I would think about a contingency plan almost immediately because
Right.
you have to have a backup. You can't keep a secret like this forever. It has been just by the luck of the Irish or whatever you want to call it that they have.
Stupidity of humanity.
Yeah, yes. Well, the conditioning has worked even better than they had hoped because they honestly, how do you get away with? I'll throw one more at you. The fact that they did, the Apollo 17 picture. That's remember the picture that everyone likes to show, but people forget that they went through Apollo 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, never took a shot. And then all of a sudden, the last part of the mission, going up, oh yeah, now we'll take the snake. They waited till the last possible minute before they released a picture of the Earth. People don't understand. It's like from 1957 to 1972, there were no shots. Even though they had the technology to do it, and then they finally release it, and that's the one they've been milking for 43 years.
Yep, they keep going back to that same exact one.
Yeah.
I was going to say their contingency plan is probably exactly what we were talking about at the beginning of the show, where they shut it down, send it out to privatized organizations that they'll take 20 years to figure out how to do it, and then in 20 years they'll come up with something else to lie about.
Or they'll disappear to where we say, let's go after NASA, and everyone says,
yeah.
Who is NASA?
Yeah, that's good
Who do we
too.
go after now? There's nobody whose name is NASA.
Yeah.
It's funny because Matt Boylan did mention this to me, and it was fairly prophetic. He goes, I think SpaceX is going to replace, that the private sector is going to replace NASA.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, and I thought that was kind of weird, but the way it seems now, it's that they're pulling away from it quickly enough to where maybe they're hoping they can get away with this, get out of this without being the scapegoat, which it will never be entirely true.
No,
or just launch satellites. It costs too much to go to space, so they'll just launch satellites and say it's not valuable to go to space. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to interrupt.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. I think that's, in fact, I think that Elon Musk is a fall guy. I mean, I don't even think he knows.
I don't think he knows either.
I know I say that and people think I'm crazy, but I'm like, the guy is, I'm not saying I'm smart by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
But if you listen to the guy talk, he's rich. He came up with some good ideas with PayPal and but he's not too sharp. And so I think he has these great grandiose ideas, and NASA said, okay, well, let's have him come aboard. Well, he's never been to space.
Yeah.
And SpaceX has never sent humans to space. They send food.
Yeah.
To the station. So they're going to get all their coordinates from NASA. They're going to get all the directions from NASA.
Yeah.
I think that they want a fall guy. So I think one day when they find out that this comes out, well, who's everybody going to go after if NASA's just some name of an organization?
Yeah.
And Elon Musk is the one promoting the new space people.
That's what I'm hoping to step up. Again, you can call me what you want, but I am calling for, again, what I said in one of the clues. It's like, look, if there is a whistleblower that has any ties to NASA whatsoever, I would like to see NASA, and I know this is part of the U.S. government. I know I'm living in the U.S., but I would like to see NASA take the hit for this, because setting up a private companies, to take the fall, that's a cheap shot. That's just, I mean, granted, Elon Musk probably, deserves it for falling into that trap, but NASA shouldn't get away with this because they've gone for too long. I know they're probably minimizing the damage to where they, think that they can get out without too much embarrassment, but it's still, no matter what they do, there's too much history involved.
Yeah, but think about the banks that we found out that, lost all these trillions of dollars, and there's nobody who ever went down for it because it's just it's the big banks, right? Too big to fail.
Yeah.
Nobody goes to jail, and that's what I'm afraid is happening with NASA. Is they're kind of spreading out enough that when it comes out, the government will be able to say, "Yep, NASA made a mistake. They did all these things wrong," but there's nobody to take the fall. That's what I think is going to happen.
Could be. I mean, yeah. If most of the, I don't know how many of the original Apollo astronauts are left, but they'll go into hiding for sure if it does happen. But yeah, you may be right. Who do you go after if this happens?
Yeah, the only person I know is the head of NASA. Is the only one I think I know his name.
Yeah, I forgot his name as well.
Is it Holder? No, wait. Holden. Bolden. Something. Oh, now I don't remember.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about though. He does public appearances every once in a while, but
somebody should go down for it if it's
yeah,
true.
yeah,
I mean,
somebody should. I mean, we get 2 minutes to the break.
It's Bolden, by the way. Just
Bolden,
Charlie Bolden. Yeah.
Okay. Charlie Bolden, write him up. Find some people, look up his email address and see if you can write him directly and say, look, resign, get out. Because this thing, the speed at which this is starting to escalate now is people are going to be looking at NASA. They're going to be looking at them for answers. Because regardless of what you talk about, the curvature of the Earth or gravity, there's one thing that has to be answered. And that is, okay, if this isn't what we think it is, then what are you sending up into space? What are you sending on those high arcs?
Why would you keep telling us the same thing over and over again when you know every time you go up there, it's not what you're saying?
Yeah.
Pretty sad.
Yeah. Why pass off? And we'll get into this more in our last segment, about the space bubbles and all the other fun things they're doing. But I mean, there's so many things wrong with it now, and there's a lot of money being spent. And in adjusted dollars over the last 50, 60 years, there's been so much. Yeah, I mean, not all of it's been wasted. I'm sure there's been some technologies that have evolved through that. But anything you've been putting on a rocket pad has been going nowhere.
Doing nothing.
Doing nothing. You're paying employees to walk around sound stages. And
I'd love to have somebody tell me what has space travel accomplished for humanity that's tangible, that you can tell me is an actual benefit of it.
Excellent point.
You can't tell me anything.
And with that, we will go here to break in a second. But when we come back, we'll do our last segment with Jeranism and Trevor and me, and we'll take some more lashing shots at NASA, obviously my employer.
Truth Stream Media with Aaron and Melissa Dykes. Fridays on Truth Frequency Radio.
Welcome back to Strange World. I'm your host, Mark Sargent. With me is Trevor Purvis, grandson of Grandpa Thune, also known as
Space Grandpa.
Yep. And Jeranism, otherwise known as Schillerism, but I don't think that's going to stick. And we are continuing our rant against NASA and why we hate them and why they should go away and why they shouldn't get out of this easy and pawn it off to private companies. Honestly, and for those of you who are listening, if you know somebody who knows about somebody, this is 6 degrees of separation. Or is it 7? I think it's 6. And that is, look, somebody knows somebody that works at SpaceX and Virgin Galactic. If you know people that work there, tell them to get out. Tell them to distance themselves as far away from NASA as possible. If you own stock in companies that are tied to NASA in some way, avoid them like they have little red laser dots on their chest. All right? Because these guys they have a shelf life. They are an endangered species right now. There is a wave coming, and I don't think it's going to be stopped. I think there's going to be too many questions to where they're going to have to answer this directly. They already tried briefly on one of the interviews I did months ago when I was on Ground Zero when Jet Propulsion Laboratories called up, and they waited until 10 minutes off the air. Should have waited. You should have gotten me while I had you. It would have been some fun stuff. Anyway, Jaren, let's talk about the underwater tanks.
Their little practice labs, you mean? Or
Yeah, the practice labs. What's your favorite part about those? That they're production screw-ups.
I just think that for them to come across as being scientific and legitimate, they just make too many mistakes and obvious errors that I mean, I don't know. You can go on about the tanks because I like watching the ISS and that kind of stuff. But the tanks just make me mad because you know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. It seemed like when I was watching them first, because everyone knows that you train astronauts in underwater tanks. We've got, there's some really great deep swimming pools. You can Google the images, and every space program trains in these tanks. But it probably didn't take very long when they were going through it. Once the bubbles leave, once all the bubbles get out, or, most of them, there's always some nooks and crannies though that seem to sneak in there. You're looking at it and people probably thought, well, if we put a green screen behind this, we might be able to pull this off, but unfortunately there's some instincts like the little kicking that they do in water that we automatically do by instinct. We automatically kick, we're in water. That happens. That one little shot where one of the scuba diver a support team was caught, going into one of the sections. And of course the bubbles, you can't get rid of all the bubbles. There's always going to be a hidden bubble stuck in some little crevice of the suit. And it's going to get caught. The internet hive mind misses nothing, and that they're passing it off as real footage, and that that other nations have gotten on board with this. That's what pisses me off more than anything. That one rant, where they said Chinese space bubbles. That was the most glaring one. But anywho, back to let's go back to the ISS briefly. You probably caught some of you caught the hairspray stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the hairspray stuff was brilliant. But did you think while you were watching it, is like, it took me a while when I was watching, I was going, yeah, it's hairsprayed. No question. Because I know why they were doing it. It was that in a woman's hair, like in the pool, when they move their head to one side or the other, the hair is going to follow. And so you can tell what direction they were bumped. In the plane with turbulence, you can tell what in the gravity simulator what direction they were bumped. But then I caught it later. It was like, wait, why would they have long hair anyway? Because just like in a swimming pool, when you have long hair, whether you're a man or a woman, you're supposed to either tie it back or wear a cap or whatever it is. Because if a strand breaks off, no one likes to swim through a long strand of hair. Well, the same thing would apply in zero gravity.
Right. There's pictures of them up there cutting each other's hair.
Yeah.
Like it's nothing. Like that would just be okay if you're cutting. I mean, think if you ever been into your barber shop. Think all the hair everywhere.
Oh God, yeah.
All over the floor, all over the chairs.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. You grab a magazine and you're touching other people's hair.
Yeah.
And that's how it would be if you're just cutting everybody's hair up in space and there's all these particles flying around and never cause a problem, I guess.
Yeah.
It would clog their air filters too.
Oh, yeah.
That's a whole other thing. Barbershops just have it all up in their air conditioning units and the filters that go through those. So
yeah.
Yeah,
and let's not get into how filthy that place would frickin' be all the time. I mean, the dust, the filtration systems would be jammed up almost immediately. Did they ever take pictures of the guys shaving? Because they never have beards.
No, I don't even ever see where do they like change clothes or
yeah.
I don't know any of that stuff.
Yeah.
They don't shower, obviously. They must sponge bath or something. I don't know. I'm sure the smell of that place is
fantastic. It would be horrible. It would be the most horrible thing. But I don't know if it was your video or the one you made it, but the one where they were they landed the capsule in Russia on the ground.
Right.
Was that you that made that one?
Yeah, the Suez one.
So many things bugged me about that video because the first thing was I was like, wait, it wasn't the whole point of landing the thing, a hard landing because it comes down pretty fast and it's a chunk of metal that you don't land it on the ground?
And they say that it slows down enough because 3 meters, which is 9 feet, right?
Yeah.
They say 3 meters before that thing hits the ground, it fires rockets, which slow it down. It's like, who's going to, what if if it's a second late, you're dead.
Yeah, you'd never take that risk. I mean, the whole point of landing it in the water was you had this soft landing. That was all. So, and it didn't. Again, it sunk in a little late when I was looking at that footage you were showing. And for people who haven't seen it, they actually landed one of the space station capsules in the middle of a field in Russia.
All the Soyuz ones, all the Russian ones, they never come back to the water. They always go to the land.
Yeah,
which is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like, man, that would be a tough thing if you were really in that capsule. Of course, there's nobody in the freaking capsule.
No, and then the video footage is from. They will always show you that super distant shot.
Yeah.
It'll never be close. But then right after, there's helicopters with the camera showing the thing open up. And it's like, well, where was the camera on the helicopter 10 seconds ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Why can't I see that footage?
Yeah.
It just, all of it to me is so obvious. There would be so many ways that NASA could prove themselves
Yeah.
to be legit at any point.
Yeah.
And they never will do it. They will come as close as they can, enough
then-
to give the people that are scientists and enough the people that love them to say, see, there you go.
Yeah.
But not enough to actually be proof.
Yeah, that video clip, I thought it was a great observation on your part when you mentioned that the what do they call them, the follow helicopters or whatever.
Oh, the one that just circle?
The helicopter. So the thing lands, and those helicopters are still circling. Those big helicopters.
Military helicopters. With
military helicopters
guns on them.
with guns on them. I was going, wait, why aren't they stopped? Why are they why go in a pattern at all? They should just be stopped and then just drop straight to the ground. That's all, it's a helicopter. It's not like it has to, it's not real hard for it to do. And I think your point was good. It's like, no, they're securing the perimeter just in case.
Right.
Because they
don't want anybody. I mean, if I want to go there and be a journalist, they're not going to let me.
No.
Hey, I wanted to tape this thing landing. No, you're not. Sorry.
Yeah, that's how good this is. That's how complete. And these people do not take chances. I mean, yeah, they make production mistakes just because there's only so much you can do with the personnel you have. But because there's only so much I can do in my editing because I work for them. but it was amazing watching those helicopters circle around. Even though the capsule had already landed, because it's like why would you secure the perimeter on something like this? What, are you afraid somebody's actually going to walk up to the capsule? And
exactly.
Yeah. And then of course the cut scenes, you drag the people out, you put them in chairs.
Oh, that whole thing is with the blankets. And
and everybody, yeah.
They have to get back to Earth's gravity.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And one of them was, if I'm not mistaken, well, I don't know if it was her, but she had cut her. Oh, was her?
Crystal Ferretti, the one with the little crew cut?
Yeah. She cut her hair out really, really short. And that was the big thing that I was talking about. I know I've gone on rants before, but I'm going to do it one more time. Again, because NASA deserves to be disbanded. Is the last, look, if you're going to fake somebody, that you're anti-gravity, the last option you're ever going to choose is permed hair. There are 3 other ways, movie techniques, which you can do. They are cheaper. They are easier. First one is you pull the hair back. Rubber band costs nothing. Rubber band, pull your hair back. 2, wear a hat. I mean, 1, you get more NASA promo because I'm sure you wear a NASA hat, or maybe your favorite college or Air Force Academy or whatever you want to wear. JPL, perfect, excellent. And then the third one is cut your hair.
It's be shaven. Yeah.
And so it's like, what do you know? After the internet started giving her crap, people crap, it's like, why are the women perming their hair? Next thing you know, was her name Christine?
Samantha Cristoforetti.
Oh, Samantha. She cut her hair really, really short. And it's like, why wasn't it like that in the first place? It was just so
insane. The other thing that gets me about NASA that I wish that the atheistic scientific community would look at is there's no God, there is no anything spiritual, and we've got proof of that. So that's them. And they're very scientific. But then if they just looked at their favorite organization of NASA, everything about it is a cult. Everything about it is Jack Parsons' laboratory. Look up Jack Parsons. Just do some research. L. Ron Hubbard and Aleister Crowley. And I mean, if you really got into it, these aren't things that are, conspiracy theorists. Oh, you think that the world's run by the Illuminati and the lizard men. It's like, that's what keeps them away. I mean, what things do they say you're stupid if you believe?
Yeah.
If you believe in the flat earth, you're stupid. If you believe we didn't go to the moon, you're stupid. Well, if you guys can't start drawing the connection here that let me just for one day pretend like I believe all those things are stupid, and all of a sudden you realize, wait a second, these things might be flip-flopped.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and the fact that NASA, when in its origins, people, it's considered the one of the greatest American institutions, and yet one of their major players, Werner von Braun,
right,
and then whoever he brought over from Berlin with him,
like 1,000.
Yeah, there was a ton of them, and Russia took the rest of them. Right. They split them up, right? Well, not down the middle necessarily, but they took them all. None of those guys got in trouble. It's like, oh well, you're a scientist, you're a physicist, you can do stuff. We'll take
the number 33 with them and everything is crazy. And then you look at, I mean, if you could really get deep into this, and it's not just a conspiracy theory when you get down to it, and look at everything, naming the runways, runway 33, and there's no reason for it. And then you look at, they say the Bible says that a third of the angels fell, right?
Yeah.
How many? What percent is that?
33%.
So when you start looking at it, there's something going on there, and it's fine if they want to believe in that. I don't care what anybody believes, but why then are the atheists and the scientific community? Why is that their go-to? Well, they're great. They're science. No, they're not. They're a cult. Look at every one of their patches.
Yeah,
it's all got occult symbolism. Dragons. How about the name of SpaceX thing? Dragon.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it's like
yeah.
I don't understand any of that stuff either because they've got that big sticker on the side of it. And it's like that thing goes through the atmosphere, which is supposedly 2,500. What sticker goes through 2,500 degrees and comes out perfectly fine?
Yeah.
I mean, these are the things I noticed that are just little things, but or they'll show you that view from space and there's like a wire right there. You're like, well, how did that wire get up to space? It just went through the atmosphere at crazy temperature. I mean, it would just fry up.
Yeah.
So I just don't get it.
Yeah. Did you ever see any of either of the two Stanley Kubrick things, either Kubrick's Odyssey or Moon 237?
Yeah, no, I'm big into all that stuff. I mean, the first thing for me was NASA. Before I got into any of this other stuff, 2 years ago, it was really Apollo, NASA, looking at the Kubrick stuff, and that's some. I believe it.
Yeah. And again, for those of you who are new to this, the story goes that NASA had to figure out when they were trying to fake this. NASA was formed in 1958, but they just didn't have the production know-how. So they recruit Stanley Kubrick after he had done Dr. Strangelove in, I believe, when was that? 60, 61, 62? Trevor, look that up.
Yep.
And then they gave him, basically the story goes, they gave him an unlimited budget and unlimited time, basically. And he researched for his movie 2001: A Space Odyssey, by far and away, the most advanced science fiction epic of its era. And he worked on it from 63 all the way to 68, released it in 68, a year, coincidence, before the Apollo missions. And so everyone was already conditioned because that was a massive movie to come out in 68. It was way, way ahead of its time. But unfortunately, he had a falling out with NASA. I'm sure it started out, again, like a dream come true. Literally just back a truck up full of money. And then you come, you say, okay, you have creative license, just show us what you can do on film. Well, how can you fake the space stuff? And then he goes in and he, leaves eventually. And I think he left before the Apollo stuff was on the moon, because I don't think he would have ever let that go, the Apollo stuff.
And Dr. Strangelove was 1964.
Was it?
Yeah, a little bit later than you thought, but yeah.
Well, it's okay because he was still working on it in 63.
Yeah.
So he builds into his confession, so he doesn't tell anybody. He builds into the 1980 movie The Shining, a Stephen King book. He builds into the movie all sorts of little hints and clues all over the place, even though it was tough to do, considering it was such a limited set. And he built in his confession that, he was the guy that helped work up the Apollo space program footage.
And I think you can't just explain away with by chance or you name it. Is his last movie was Eyes Wide Shut. So just look at those words.
Yeah.
And he died before it was released. But in the contract, they had to guarantee that it would be released on what date? July 16th, 1999, which is exactly 30 years to the day that Apollo 11 happened. So those aren't just coincidences. Why would he say he wants it released on that day other than to kind of tell people, look at Eyes Wide Shut?
Yeah.
Is how much are you paying attention here?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. He built so many coincidences in, and that's what we're really talking about. And with a lot of this stuff, it's like, look, a coincidence for me is meeting my neighbor at the grocery store. Just happenstance. Like, okay. Anything bigger than that, I don't trust. Which is why I love that saying. It's like I believe in coincidences, but the big coincidences, I've just never seen one. And that is why in the world would he make his room, make that room where all the bad stuff happened in The Shining, room 237, which was, the same amount of distance between the Earth and the Moon, 237,000 miles, where nothing in the room was real. And that's what they said that time and time again in the movie. Nothing in here is real. And it started out like a beautiful dream, where Jack Nicholson meets that beautiful woman, and then it turned into a nightmare. And he was basically reliving the whole thing where he was saying, look, this started out, he was basically pouring out his soul, I think, and saying, look, this seemed like a great idea. Any director would have jumped at the chance. to take free money and unlimited budget and creativity. Plus, you got to keep a lot of the research you did and make it into an Academy Award winning movie. I think I got Best Picture that year. And then it turned out to be, this nightmare. But
and that's what I wish people would look at is even though I think it's terrible what they did, on the same end, it really did some good at the time. It really did kind of give everybody this idea of being great and grand. And, it did boost up the economy. I know those, I don't like to say those things because I don't think it's an excuse, but
yeah,
I look back and I see why it happened. I mean, I don't think a lynch mob would go after Buzz Aldrin at this point.
No.
Except for the fact, why doesn't he just come out and say it? I could not go to my death and with that on my plate.
Yeah.
I couldn't. I mean, I just wish he would come out. I mean, I would forgive him personally. Myself, I can't stand NASA and everything, but if he came out and said, this is the reason we did it. They told us that, it would be huge. It would, look at the Cold War. How many bullets have been fired in the Cold War, which has lasted 45 years,
Yeah.
Not one.
Yeah.
There's never been a bullet fired because if he came out and said, this is the reason why we tried to calm these things down and I don't know. I just think that there's ways out of this that they don't take them.
I agree, which is why I touched on it a little bit in clues 10 and 11, which is you're right. We've gotten to a point now where, any member of NASA that wanted to come out and said, or any high level official that was tied to this in some way, maybe they're very old, maybe they're coming down to the end of their life, and they say, look, we did it for your own good. I get that. I do, because you don't know. And 1956 was a lot different than it is now. And when they started up the NASA stuff in 1958, I am sure they thought, look, the public can't hack this. They can't wrap their head around it. We don't want to deal with what might happen. But unfortunately, we've come to the point now, technology-wise, where it's played out. There's the internet hive mind, the detection. I've said this in other things. The detection ability of the internet hive mind has caught up to the production ability, to where they can't fake anything. You can't fake anything anyway anymore, but you really can't fake the space stuff. Like, I'd love you to jump on this, Jaron, and that is, would you agree with me when I say, look, you couldn't, if I was working at NASA, and I am, and somebody handed me the Let's Fake Mars folder, I would be scared out of my mind because I wouldn't know how to do it. I would not know how to fake Mars without getting caught at this point.
I don't think they can fake any humans anywhere anymore. Now, I do think that obviously they've got people convinced that there's a rover on Mars. So,
oh yeah, that piece of crap. Yeah.
Oh man, it's so funny. Have you seen my video where it's Johnny Five from Short Circuit?
Yeah, yeah.
It's identical. They did. I mean, even the laser off the shoulder. Like, I don't even know how they're so stupid that we need to make this robot look exactly like the one from the movie.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, it's
that battery was supposed to die. What was that? 5 years ago?
Yeah,
it was supposed to die.
And they pretend like just because they keep getting funding, they write a paper and submit it to Congress and get funding to keep it going. And like, we're supposed to believe that. The battery life.
This is not like burying your grandparents in the backyard and cashing the Social Security checks. This is not like that. This is like,
no.
It's like, really, you're just going to say the rover is still working, and the reason you could say that is it's not really on Mars. You could just keep broadcasting footage from New Mexico or wherever your base is.
And he takes selfies now. It's like,
oh.
And the other thing is that a lot of people will always say the conspiracy you're talking about is too big. There's too many people. And I said, I don't even think the government knows.
No.
I think that this is something where when they submit paperwork, they get very smart people who write scientific doctrines or documents, papers saying, hey, this robot's on Mars. These are all the good things it's done.
Yeah.
And this is why we want to keep it going.
Yeah.
And Congress gives them the money because they know how much people love space and they don't want to be the ones that say, no, we're going to cancel that funding.
Yeah.
I just think it's all a money laundering.
At the highest level, there's only a few people that know the whole story. Right. The people that are simulating the ISS stuff, the actors that are flying around in the zero-G simulator, they don't know. They know they're faking something, and I'm sure they look at the internet footage and just kind of wince, but they do not have clearance to know any more than that. The people that make the satellites, they don't know. Again, my neighbor, who was the engineer for the Apollo program, for the Gemini program, for the Mercury program, he knew nothing. None of it. If it's compartmentalized well enough, you only need the smallest amount of people. at the highest levels, the ones that are faking the telemetry, the ones that are authorizing the Mars rover to keep broadcasting, or a probe to look at Saturn, or whatever it is. And I will give NASA credit for one thing, and that is one thing only, and that is they were clever to release the fun stuff, because the fun stuff reinforced the globe. And that was when that was probably, I don't know who came up with that. Give that guy a raise, or as long as he can, because he's going to be fired soon. Which was, look, there's a face on Mars, and what you're doing is, whether or not you believe there's a face on Mars, you're thinking about it. And as soon as you think about it, it's like, oh, that's may or may not be on Mars, but I'm on a globe. That was clever.
Right, reinforcement. Yep.
Yeah, it's like, so release a funny little picture of the top of Saturn. That's also neat. Oh, we've got a probe that's looking at this. Oh, hey, Pluto's not a planet anymore. That's a good one. And then
all those things, everything that they take these satellite pictures or show us Hubble's out there, and this is a galaxy cluster that's 600,000 light years away.
Yeah,
it's just all reinforcement of where we live, that we're very tiny, minuscule speck in a vast, endless space.
Yeah,
flying around the universe at crazy speeds. And
I'll put this out to people who I want to challenge. Look at the frequency, the regularity of the stories that are put out by NASA every month, every year, for year after year after year. It's like clockwork, and they do it. No corporation does it like this. No government does it like this. These guys are really, really good at the reinforcement part. Unfortunately, the internet, again, the hive mind and YouTube, social media has kind of crushed them recently. So, well, we're winding down the show. We're down our last couple of minutes. Jaron, you got any little things you want to plug? Anything before we head off into the sunset?
No, just stay tuned to my channel. We hope to get, like I said, a further experiment, or the next experiment, and hopefully go further. I mean, I wanted to start small so I could confirm my own beliefs and make sure that I was on the right track. And from there, I was convinced by being able to see what we did yesterday.
Yeah,
that was enough for me to know pretty definitively. Like I said, if I had to go 2 poster boards high and I was 8 feet high until he saw the light, believe me, I wouldn't even be on this show. I'd be like, I think it's a globe.
Got it.
But the fact that it just keeps confirming, it's like, now I got to keep going with this, because it's the truth. Is these things are, and I think you're right, though. I think that the scientists are going to have to come out, and prove their side somehow. And I'm anxious to see how they're going to do it, because there is no way.
Yeah. Neil deGrasse Tyson, if you're listening, or if anybody knows him, meet me one-on-one in any debate. I can't wait for it, because it's not going to be even close.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, you don't have a freaking chance. I'll take Bill Nye as well, just because, even though he's from Seattle as well, and so because he
can only debate people who believe in Noah's Ark. That's the people he can beat. But anybody else, he's going to have trouble with.
Yeah. Anyway, other than that, thank you very much for coming on the show, and I keep doing your tests. That is, it's been really fun to watch what you've been doing so far, and other people out there that are listening. Look, man, look where Jeranism started. He just had an idea in his head, and he just started rolling with it. Talk to people. You don't need much. He's been editing stuff with software from Goodwill, for God's sakes. There's
it works,
Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff you can do. Get involved. Don't spend money. Just open your mind up. Look at this thing and figure it out for yourself, because there's a lot of questions to be asked. So thank you guys. Thank you, Jeranism. Thank you, Trevor. Who else should we thank? That's about it. We're out of here,
guys.
See you guys.
Bye.
You think I don't have total control. Every detail, from the movement of the stars to the flushing of the toilets, is exactly as it would be on the real journey. The minute they doubt the validity of their environment is the minute the experiment fails.
It is magnificent.
It's more than that. Ascension is a lifeboat for humanity.